Wait a second.
Yes, I did.
It's okay. We're gonna have built-in breaks.
We need to.
All right.
Why don't you?
What is CFVA?
Clark Valley.
Oh. All right. Oh,
Gotcha.
I don't know, my eyes flipped. I was like, a CVA right now? It's 11:13 and we are here for the Bonner County Ambulance Service District Board meeting. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to adopt the order of the agenda.
Based on the information before us, I move to adopt the order of agenda as presented.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any public comment on the order of the agenda? All right, seeing none, deliberation by the board.
None?
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Williams?
Yes?
Mr. Korn?
Yes.
Mr. Dumpy?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, our consent agenda from our June 4th meeting. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
We're good. Based on the information before us, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any comment from the public on consent agenda? Seeing none, deliberation by the board. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Korn?
Yes.
Mr. Dumpy?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, motion passes. First action item, FY25 claims batch 36 totaling $42,785.42.
These are just our normal bills, the largest one being our May billings for $6,342.11.
All right. Any questions for the billing for her before we entertain the motion?
None.
All right. At this time, we'll entertain a motion.
Based on the information before us, I move to approve payment of the fiscal year 25 Bonner County Ambulance Service District claims in batch number 36, totaling $42,785.42.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any public comment on the claims batch? Seeing none, deliberation by the board. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Dumpy?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Korn?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next item is action, discussion, decision regarding delaying the financial separation of Bonner County Ambulance District from the county and other separation issues.
Jessica Stephanie for the record. So HR and auditing got together to try to sort out how we would separate the benefit portion of the financials, like how that process would work if they had their third-party bookkeeper doing payroll. And so we kind of came up against a wall in understanding how we can do it and how the bookkeeper would then interact with the county and issue the checks, and the reporting side of it. So we can't make them inactive in Munis as employees and still pull their deductions appropriately for now. Moving forward into the next fiscal year, we'll be working with the broker to segregate that in the billing. And so they'll be able to submit checks to the county, and then we'd issue the checks to the insurance providers, but we'd be able to tie out the reports appropriately. So this delay will give us the time to work with the bookkeeper and set up what that process and the reconciliations will look like. That's why we're asking for the delay.
Essentially, it's just to leave the payroll the way that it is what
Yeah.
you're asking for?
I think that keeping it the way it is until the end of September makes sense, even for the claims. It will delay the treasurer separating it and closing that account. But we should also be able to tie out and minimize the amount of money that needs to stay in the fund available to pay claims. We'll have the next 3 months or I guess longer than that. It's 3 months. 3.5. Goes so fast. We'll have that time to finalize how we're going to handle that. We just need the board to make the decision so that the treasurer can then let the banks know what the plan is.
So if we do the delay, then there's no need for your bookkeeper for a period of time, or does she need to still be in waiting, or?
She was gonna continue to keep her on payroll, to keep working with them during
Okay.
this time as
Yeah, so she's actively now working on setting up the accounts for them for Percy and their 401ks, their HSAs, all of those things. She's going to need time to do that and to develop the chart of accounts that they're going to use moving forward. So I think that she will be in service to them in this 3 months as well.
So the start date in the next fiscal year is what you're looking for?
Correct. It'd be an official 10/1.
Okay.
So what I'm seeing in the memo is the key aspects being a clean separation for the shared benefits program, clean delineation point for auditing, and then also providing that more time to get everything aligned properly, as you were saying, by continuing to use the outside bookkeeper to build that separation program, I'll call it, to account for the different items. Just looking through, kind of summarizing what I reviewed in the memo.
Yeah.
So I know initially in the email correspondence, I saw Chief was preferable to trying to maintain the current projected date at the end of June. But then I think as all the considerations played out, there was an understanding of why this makes sense. Do you guys have any other?
Nope, when he last had a meeting with Kevin, and everybody, he was on board with that decision.
And then as an additional benefit in retaining this to the end of the year, our audit next year will not be more expensive because all of their financials will be in one system. And then the following year, it won't be as much. It'll be a little bit more because they have to evaluate a separate financial reporting system, but it would be their full year over there, so they don't have to be in 3. Does that make sense?
Any further questions from the board?
Nope.
You raised your hand, or no?
I'm not the board, but
I do have a question. Kevin from HR for the record. I did receive an email from Scott stating that he's under the impression that EMS is going to stay with the county for the benefit for the coming year. I haven't heard anything from anybody, so I'm wondering if that's accurate. Is that not? Because he's assuming from what he heard from Shannon that it is, and so he's proceeding as though we are still one entity for the coming year for the benefit
So
plan.
I'll address that question after we do this one.
Okay.
Because I do have an answer on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so no further questions from the board, so at this time, we'll entertain a motion regarding the request to delay until 10/1/2025, sorry.
The current suggested motion is September 30th. Do we want to do
That's the
September
end date.
It's the end
30th?
date.
As the
The
okay.
end date would be September 30th.
And just say through
Yeah.
instead of to.
So based on the information before us, I move to approve the financial separation of the Bonner County Ambulance Service District from Bonner County through September 30th, 2025.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any public comment on this motion? Seeing none, deliberation by the board. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mr. Williams?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Dumpy?
Yes.
motion passes. All right, task list review and update. could
So
I-
this is supposed to be the light weekly or first monthly meeting for this item. So unless somebody has a specific task list item they want to update, then we don't typically run through the full list.
Yep, I will update on the question Kevin asked. So what the county did in 2017 was the counties have an exception to be self-insured. And so what they did was they asked the state insurance if EMS could be pulled into being self-insured. And so what they issued the county was a pass on an interconnected relationship. And it's not the same as the question about an independent entity. They're two different types of evaluations. And so I worked with the state and we located the letter that was given to the county about emergency services. And so Bill looked at it and his initial thought was, no, they're not assessing it correctly. And then I called Bill and I said, we're only talking about insurance. We're not talking about a separate taxing district because there are exclusions that would allow you to put the two together because of an interconnected relationship. And the authority that allows for that is the state insurance fund. And so after we had that meeting of the minds, it's reasonable to say continue with the health insurance because the caveat was the self-insurance was for general liability insurance. We're talking about the health insurance plan. And if health insurance would allow us to put the two together, then there is a mutual benefit for the county and for EMS, which is what Shannon identified when she said if we split them off, one will pay more. But if the insurance commission is fine, they can move forward. And I did let Bill know that that letter that I forwarded, it's from their own legal team. So we submitted our information to them, but they have to go through a legal review of the attachment of EMS to Bonner County. And even if we disagreed with they're the ones who decide yes or no. So I did also call them and send them a message that said, hey, we want to combine the two health insurances, is that okay? They didn't answer that. They don't need to answer because they've already told us. And so Bill said it's okay to move forward as we already were with respect to health insurance. But it's not, their question of are they two separate entities is not, it's the same question but about a different topic. There is a specific statute that needed to be reviewed to determine if we could have done this. And it looks like we can because the commission allowed it already. Does that make sense? So it's not them saying they're not a separate entity, it's a interconnected relationship.
Well, I don't know if I didn't see emails before, I thought she was pulling rates combined and pulling rates separate.
She is going to do that still.
Okay.
She's still going to show
we'll
us
still
the
look at it.
difference so that we can make an informed decision on it. But we know that we can move forward with the together aspect of it.
So I have questions for my crew that I've asked yet. So basically, if ours come back lower and the counties come back higher, but jointly the counties are lower, then what would be the weight to combine them versus EMS, you get a better rate, better insurance, we stay separate. So what's that's kind of weird. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
There's multiple ways you could fix that. You could say we're going to stay together, and the county could say, but we'll pay the cost that shows the decrease back to EMS. It depends on what her rubric is.
Gotcha.
Because you could do that, similar to how we did with our other line of insurance, where you guys remitted a payment of $70,000 because
Right.
someone threw out a number, and then you find out it was 30-something. We could do one where we just adjust it. And
Okay.
so that could be an option, or we could say, no, we're going to be made whole by some of the money that our funds actually transferred to EMS, because we're two different taxing districts, so the board would have the options to make that decision. And I think that, when I thought of that as well, because I think the way the policy, looking at the trend in insurance, I think the policy is going to be beneficial more to the county to be combined with EMS than it is for the county to not be. And I think that we're the entity that will need to pull you guys in because of the numbers. And so we are going to have to address what the difference in that quote would be.
Okay.
And you guys have a III that, do you know whether or not you got the quote back?
No, because I know they asked for the paperwork, so all of our employees are filling out IIIA's questionnaire right now, and it's due back,
They have to have them to me by July 1.
yes. So that's what we're submitting to them now.
And that one particular group, I think, will result in showing a lower for you guys than trying to do what the county's trying to do, and that will be something we have to address, is the difference between the two, because that's why I'm eager to see what they quote as, because that's all that they do. And so sometimes when you're fully immersed in a risk class, you can offer something better than what, like Blue Cross might be able to offer us combining you. And I think that quote will be the really deciding factor that says to the county, it's so much less, if that comes out to be the case, that we have to consider not requiring the combination of the two. But hopefully they get that quote back soon. So we'll see what they say. Does I get your thing answered fully? So they're working on it now, and I keep following up with them because we want to get an idea of what that cost is going to be, worst case, for our clerk's office as we're looking at the budget. And we're looking at first dollar also because there's a benefit both ways, so. That's my only update on the insurance. We need to have a meeting about your workers' compensation claims, though.
You have to have that one.
All right, nice pass.
You're welcome.
All right. You want to go through the budget forecast and just say what he put down?
I didn't get that from him.
All right, well, I will say what he gave.
Perfect.
So on the remaining forecast for FY25, forecasted expenditures, $1,335,000. Revenues forecasted non-tax, $480,000. Forecasted tax revenue, $1,100,000. So the total forecasted revenue is $1,580,000. Cash on hand is $1,038,413. So their forecast for the ending cash balance is $1,283,413. Any questions from the public on the forecasted budget? All right.
And I'll just state that at the last meeting, we talked with Chief about after he returns, starting to work on a 5-year projected budget. And so that's still the plan.
Sounds good. No more questions? No questions? All right. It is 11:29 and this meeting is adjourned.